Rob, thank you so much for joining us again. I think this is either year 3 or 4 with you coming on the Scholarship GPS podcast. So thanks so much for coming back, telling us all about this year's Stossel in the Classroom essay and video contests.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me back. We appreciate the opportunity to reach your large audience with this contest we have and try to get more students involved in writing and producing videos.
Well, for those who did not hear our past conversations, would you just give a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll jump into more of the contest specific info.
I'm a former New York City high school teacher, and I was using John Stossel videos, among other videos, in my classes. And when I retired some years ago, I started working with John, and particularly with his Stossel in the Classroom project, we reached thousands and thousands of teachers. Can't really quantify the students, but if you calculate it out, it's over the years in the millions. Uh, what we do that's of interest here is we run an essay and video contest that we select topics for various students' interests, for various teachers and their curriculum, and then we give out $28,000 in prizes to
That
the
is
lucky
a fantastic prize pool, and I've been aware of this program for I'm gonna say probably 7, 8, 9 years now, and I've watched that prize pool grow. The splitting from just strictly essay to both essay and videos over the past couple years. So I love seeing the growth and the additional opportunities that your organization's offering. And we're actually going to talk about a third opportunity, I think, at the end of our conversation. But I guess first things first, let's talk about the essay and the video contest. So these are concurrently running programs. Students can compete in one, the other, or both. Is that right?
Yes, pretty much. The video contest is open. We have three categories. It's middle school, high school, and undergraduate college. The essay contest we just have for middle school and high schoolers.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
For middle school and high school, where there's open to both essay and video, can they submit entries in both contests?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you did. Yes, they can, and that's something we've been promoting because every year we get about 100 emails saying, can I participate in both?" And
Yeah.
so we're trying to uh, get that point out as much as possible. You absolutely can participate in both. We find that you're on the topic, you're researching it. Some students may not be comfortable with video, but they want to give it a shot. Their strength is essay, so they submit the essay. So we have been getting quite a few uh, dual entries.
Now, obviously, students aren't submitting just any essay or just any video. There are specific prompts and topics. Are the prompts or topics the same for both the essay and the video contest this year?
They are,
Okay.
and we've got four, and the first is called "The Truth About Tariffs: Who Really Pays."
Okay.
The second is "Birthright Citizenship Debate." The third is "America at 250: What That Means to Me." And the last one is "Time's Up: Should Congress Have Term Limits?" We chose these because these are really current
Mhm.
topics that are in the news. They're being discussed in classes. We thought these are relevant to students. At least one, I think each student would find relevant to his or her life, and we want to go to them and see what they're interested in, and this is one way. And we also survey the students who do participate and ask them for suggestions for the following year. So a lot of these
Okay.
are student generated.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as I'm kind of split screen here looking at the prompts and the topics, and as you're going through and I'm thinking, okay, the one about tariffs, students who are interested in current events, economics, public policy. That's a great one. Birthright citizenship, again, current events, civics, a little bit of history in there. America at 250, again, that'll be very current as we go into next year. And again, history, civics, things like that. And then time's up. Should Congress have term limits? Again, students who are interested in these social studies type topics, fantastic. I think one of the, I know you mentioned that you reach out to teachers and such to promote this, but students don't have to work through a teacher or a school to participate, right?
No, that's exactly the case. We used to just reach out to teachers, um, but we thought there are ways to reach students if their teachers aren't promoting it. So, absolutely, we now promote this through wonderful opportunities like you're giving us. We promote on social media. Uh, but no, students do not need their teacher's endorsement or recommending as long as they find out about our contests on sitc.org. That stands for Stossel in the Classroom. They can find out about it and enter the contest or both of the video and essay contest.
Let's talk a little bit specifically about the essay contest. What are some of the requirements in terms of maybe like word count, sticking on topic, and things like that?
Sure. The word count is 500 to 1,000 words. We generally aren't sitting there counting them,
Hmm.
but we don't want essays that are too short. And we don't want essays that are too long. And one of my issues, guess I'm going to have to say this, is that English teachers, I remember them pushing write more,
Hmm.
expand, and there's such a thing as overwriting, where you're just throwing words in
Yeah.
to make it look long. Succinctness is undervalued, I think, and you know you don't need to get these into many pages, thousands of words. You can be
Hmm.
very clear on a 500 to 1,000 word essay. uh, I think the shorter often the better, because you're not droning on and repeating yourself to fill a word count.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed something that I don't recall seeing in past years, and that is that students whose submission reach the final phase of judging must partake in a brief remote interview to discuss their essay. Is that new this year?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's come about. Thank you for bringing that up. That's come about because of a concern we've got with AI
Yeah. Yep.
generated or AI assisted essays, that we believe that students haven't really looked into the topic very
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
And so that's why we've added this component to finalizing scores. Um, it's, when you read essays, you get an idea of this was AI generated or
Yeah.
it wasn't, but you can't prove it, and there are no good um, websites where you can test that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just assume that they're all legitimate essays written by students, and we decided that let's talk with some of these
Hmm.
students and just get their sense of the topic, and that'll give us an idea of whether essays are going to be able to continue in the future or not.
Yeah, yep. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I can see a lot of scholarships moving to this because, like you said, the AI checkers are incredibly unreliable. I had a student I worked with a couple years ago who he did a scientific test where he wrote an essay on a topic, and then he had AI write an essay on that topic. He fed them both into AI checking tools, and they both came back as AI generated. And I hear from parents all the time saying, I know my student wrote this and we put it through an AI checker and it came back as 80, 90, 100% AI written and we know it wasn't. So that I think that's a fantastic workaround that you've come up with. Um, Obviously the main point of that interview, like you said, is to gauge whether the student actually knows what they're writing about. Um, is there any do you consider anything like their ability to interview well or present themselves well, or is it really just more making sure that, we have a good feeling that this student wrote this essay?
No, that's a great question, and we've discussed that at length. Where not at all interested in whether or not you're a polished speaker,
Yeah.
and we'll make that clear when we speak to each of the students. Um, it's it's something that we've created a rating sheet to make sure that we don't wander off into that. That's into that kind of judgmental position.
Hmm.
It's sort of why teachers need to use rubrics for much of their
Yeah.
grading. I remember when I started teaching, it was immediately obvious to me, and I hadn't learned anything about rubrics, and I certainly wasn't in a rubric era, but I knew that you look at the name of the student and that affects your grading.
Hmm.
It's almost impossible to avoid. I mean, so we want to make sure, and I wanted to make sure as a teacher that I didn't do that, so I created rubrics for pretty much everything. But it was great because the students knew up front
Yeah.
what they were being rated on, and that's why I believe we now have our rubric up on our website for our essays and videos.
You do. I was just about to mention that if you didn't, that yes, it's there. And that's one of the things I always tell students is if the scoring rubric is available, I mean, it's like a cheat sheet, right? You know exactly what the test is going to be about.
Sure. And the funny thing is, Dave, when I took over Stossel in the classroom 7 years ago, that's one of the first things I wanted to do. And
Uh-huh.
I kept getting so much pushback that every year I just kind of throw up my hands. And finally, maybe a couple of years ago, I said, "No, I'm telling you now, I get to that Alexander Haig, I'm in charge here line." And but it didn't happen until this year. So,
Okay. Well, I'm
but
glad
I'm
you pushed that through because I think that's a great it's a great resource for the students. They know what they know what they're supposed to do, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
and the argument was, well, then they're going to write that essay or create that video to the rubric. It's like, yeah, that's the point of the
Exactly.
rubric.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
it's certainly a great guide for students. So
Yep.
definitely, if you're interested in participating in our essay or video contest, check out the rubrics, see
Yeah.
how you're being rated.
Yep. I think the other thing that's helpful that you have posted in the past and you have on there again is previous winning entries. I always recommend students look at those as well. It gives an idea of maybe the style that an organization's looking for, the type of presentation and so forth. So both of those are great resources for students who are applying for this or for any scholarship opportunity.
And we've also got tips
Hmm.
for essay writing and tips for
Yep.
video production that help out. One of the um, problems with video tends to be sound is not very good. It's not
Okay.
very clear. It's not loud enough. And the other one is occasionally students to get into that 1 to 3 minute frame will speed up their video rather than edit a little
Mm,
more out. And that's that's actually got to a point where it was a problem 2 years ago, and we debated um, not selecting a winner because of that. But we never said you couldn't. So now
okay.
we're very specific, saying do not speed up your video.
Gotcha. Okay. And that was one of the next things I wanted to bring up is on the video side, the length is 1 to 3 minutes for the video, right?
Correct.
Yep. And still addressing one of the four prompts.
Essentially, giving the students the option: are you do you prefer standing up with a microphone or even creating? Sometimes we have slides,
Hmm.
sometimes they're interviewing people, like random interviews on the street. Uh, and there's other students who are much more comfortable writing. So we want them to
Yeah.
have
Yep.
the same options on topics, but also if you've done one, why not? I,
Yeah,
I,
yes.
I
And even for a student who may not be comfortable being on screen, like you said, doing a PowerPoint with a voiceover, I mean, it may not be the most beautiful entry, but if the information is solid, give yourself a shot, right?
absolutely. What's the worst that happens? You don't win.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah,
couple of
exactly. And you've
minutes.
already done most of the work. So,
Right.
Let's talk about the due dates, and then I want to jump back into the AI conversation because that has some other neat things that students may be interested in hearing. So, when are the essay and video contests? What is the deadline for that?
Sure, the entries are due March 13th. I don't know the day of the week.
I don't
Um,
have my calendar either, but March
March
13th,
13th,
2026.
2026 at 11:59 p.m. And that is a good reminder to say, please don't wait till the last
Yeah.
minute. We tend to have uh, a few people waiting. There's a problem with their internet connection. There's a
Mhm.
problem with uh, the website. Something goes wrong, and then we get emails going at 11:58. I tried uploading this. Get it done sooner. We all like to procrastinate, but
Yeah.
anytime during that final day is even okay. Just not the last minute.
Yeah. Well, my rule of thumb of advice that I give the students I work with is at least 3 days before the official deadline, because when your hamster dies and you need a day of mourning, that gives you time for that. Or when your power goes out and you don't have internet access, it gives you time for that. Or when the website goes down because it's the last day, you're not a
Yeah.
victim of that. So getting things in early, always the best practice. So yeah.
We've already had about 50 essays submitted.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
And,
so
and just for
that's
transparency, people don't know, but we're recording this in early November. They'll start hearing it in January. So, just out of curiosity, when did this year's program launch?
September 5th
Okay.
or
So
right
yeah, a
around
lot of
there. Yep.
50. That's a lot of early birds. I imagine you probably get a spike kind of near the launch, and then a lull, and then another huge spike at the end, right?
Get little spikes when we promote it
Yeah.
more, but at the end it's heavy crunch the last I'd like to say the last 2 weeks, but it's probably the last 7 to 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's circle back to the issue of AI. Stossel in the Classroom is doing something unique around that this year, and it's a different opportunity. Again, people will be hearing this in early January, so it's one that they will have to act upon quickly. But could you tell us about that?
Sure. The pilot contest that we're trying out this year really stems from the essays that we've seen and wonder if they're AI assisted. So we thought, students are learning AI. AI is not going away.
Hmm.
We've talked about having AI training for teachers. So let's do something AI for students. And it's essentially where students have to challenge an AI platform. They're on the bot, they're asking questions about the topic, and then they're challenging. It's almost a la John Stossel, where he
Hmm.
challenges his interviewees. Um, so they're going to provide us with their chat, and then they're going to write a short piece about what they learned from that. And it's not about polished writing or anything like that. It's just to get a sense of did you look into this topic? What did you find about the AI platform you worked with? Uh,
Okay.
three of the we've only got three topics because we didn't think that it would work with the Americrit 250, but the
Right.
other three topics that are for the essay and video.
Okay. So again, tariffs, birthright citizenship, or should Congress have term limits? So,
Yes.
Rob, what is the deadline for the AI challenge?
The deadline for the AI challenge is early. It's January 9th.
Okay.
We will have them rated by the end of February, and the awards, students awarded. We didn't want to have all three hitting at the same
Sure.
time.
Yep. Yep. Good. And before you and I, before I hit record, we were chatting a little bit, and you said that you were comfortable with me mentioning this, even though it's only a few days away, because you didn't feel like this was going to be a week long or month long project for a student. Do you have a rough idea of how long it might take a student to do this one?
I think it should be a few hours,
Okay.
perhaps maybe an hour or two, where you're sitting there challenging the AI, and
Hmm.
then reflecting on that is a separate little written piece, and that's pretty much it. It seems like you could do that on a school evening or during a holiday break at the end of December
Yeah,
or on a Saturday afternoon.
exactly. Good. Well, Rob, so excited to hear about this new opportunity, and of course, love chatting with you about the essay and video contest. I've had several students who have had success with the program, so it's near and dear to my heart. Anything else that you'd like to mention before we wrap up?
I'd just like to remind people that they could find out more about this at sitc.org. If they have any questions, they could always email me at rob@sitc.org as well.
Awesome. Well, we'll put a link to the website in the show notes. Rob, thanks so much for coming back on the podcast again this year. Hope to see you again next year.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to reach more students.